Hello again, grade 12s. The question we're looking at today is a complex type of trigonometric equation. With these types of questions, what you first have to look at is the left-hand side and the right-hand side and decide, first of all, are you going to express both these in terms of cos or both these in terms of sine? I will do it both ways for you so that you're able to manipulate it either way. Using co-ratios and complementary angles, I'm going to change the cos 2x into sine x. This would then become negative sine 90 degrees minus 2x. On the left-hand side, you would still have your sine x plus 30 degrees. What you now have to look at is in which quadrant is sine going to be negative. Sine will be negative in the third and fourth quadrant. Based on that, this will then tell us how to express our general solutions. So we know that in the third quadrant, we are going to have 180 degrees plus theta. Theta in this example is 90 degrees minus 2x. Now, since this is a general solution in terms of sine x, we then have to plug in 360 degrees k, k being an integer. We are then going to group all our x's on one side and group all our numbers on the other side. So balancing method, you had negative 2x. It then groups on the left hand side and it becomes 3x. Positive 30 degrees, balancing method to the other side, 240 degrees plus 360k. Again, k being an integer. Now in the last step, you are going to divide everything, okay, here by 3, okay. Once you have done that, your first general solution will read as follows: 80 degrees plus 120 degrees, k being an integer. So this is our first general solution. And it was found in the third quadrant. Now in the fourth quadrant, we know that our theta is going to be 360 degrees minus theta. So what you then write is x plus 30 degrees, 360 degrees minus your theta, which in this case is 90 degrees minus 2x plus 360 k being an integer. Again, you want to simplify. Okay, you end up with 270 degrees plus 2x plus 360k. Now in the next step, I'm isolating or making x the subject of the formula. When I do this, I end up with negative x 240 degrees plus 360k, right? I have a negative sign there. Either you divide by -1 or multiply the entire equation by -1. When you do this, you're left with x is equal to negative 240 degrees minus 360 degrees k. Now, this last part, the negative 360 degrees k, you can leave that as positive 360 degrees k, because when you now plug in your integers, you will end up with the same values. So you could leave it as negative 360k, or you can write it as positive 360k, because like I said, when you then plug in values of k as an integer, whether they're positive or negative, you will end up with the same answers. Now, you could leave your answer like that with the negative 240, but if your question specifically states that they want non-negative degrees, you would then have to add 360 degrees, okay? If you do that, you then end up with 120 degrees plus 360 degrees. K, again, K is your integer. So either of these two would suffice, the negative 240 degrees or the positive 120. Remember, I said to get to the positive 120, you would have to add 360 degrees. So at this point here, we added 360 degrees. So your two general solutions, okay, I've labeled number 1 and I'm underlining it now, or the ones at the bottom here. I will now show you an alternate solution, and instead of grouping everything in terms of sine, I would group it in terms of cos. In the next solution, instead of using sine on both sides of the equation, I will use cos. Again, you're using your co-ratios and your complementary angles. So, converting the sine x plus 30 degrees into cos, what you would do is cos and then your complementary angle 90 degrees minus, okay, x plus 30 degrees, okay. On the other side, it's still negative cos 2x, right? Now, you obviously want to simplify as far as you can inside the brackets. When you do that, what you're left with is cos 60 degrees minus x is equal to negative cos 2x. Now, again, you want to look at in which quadrant is cos negative. Cos is negative in the second and third quadrant. So in the second quadrant, we have 180 degrees minus theta. And in the third quadrant, we have 180 degrees plus theta. Now your theta in this example is 60 degrees minus x. Right. In the next section, this is where you will then express 60 degrees minus x being equal to 180 degrees minus 2x, right, plus 360 degrees k, right? This would be your first general solution, and that's the one in the second quadrant. The second general solution, which is in the third quadrant, would read as follows. 60 degrees minus x is equal to 180 degrees plus 2x. Again, 360 degrees k. And k is an integer. Right. Now you obviously want to isolate x. You want to make x your subject of the formula. Now taking the first equation, okay, and simplifying everything, you end up with x is equal to 120 degrees plus 360 degrees k. K being an integer. As you will see, this is the second solution in the above alternate solution that we ended up rearranging so that we did not have any negative angles. With the second equation, when we rearrange it, you first end up with negative 3x being equal to 120 degrees plus 360 degrees k. Again, k is an integer. Again, you want to isolate x. You want to make x your subject of the formula. So what you do there is then divide everything by negative 3. When you do that, you end up with x equals negative 40 degrees minus 120 degrees k. You could leave your answer like this, but remember we also said that if you were to leave your answer like that or change that negative 120 to a positive, okay, and plug in integer values here, you will end up with the same answers whether you plug it in the first equation with negative 120 degrees K, or you plug it into the equation that has a positive 120 degrees K. As mentioned previously, if your question specifically stated that you were not to have any negative degrees here, you would then be required to add the new period. So the new period, since you divided by 3, is now 120 degrees. So you would add 120 degrees to your negative 40. Now, once you do that, your answer would then become 80 degrees plus 120 degrees K, K being an integer. So your final general solutions would then be the ones that I'm underlining now. So number 1 and that one if you opt not to have a negative degree, or that one or that one.